The year was 2137. Earth wasn't the blue marble it used to be, with half of its surface encased in sprawling smart cities, climate shields stretching across continents, and artificial satellites clustering around the upper atmosphere like neon fireflies. Humanity had officially entered the age of cosmic awareness. But this new age didn't bring courage with it. Instead, it brought fear. People were afraid of what they didn't understand, especially the unknown universe. Interplanetary travel was limited, heavily monitored, and most missions beyond Mars were considered high risk and unnecessary. The public had no appetite for cosmic exploration. After all, Earth had everything: artificially grown food, digitally controlled seasons, controlled crime through algorithmic law enforcement. Why reach into the stars when comfort was just a voice command away? Yet, not everyone felt that way. Deep inside orbital station Vega 9, located just outside the exosphere and anchored between two massive plasma towers, a young astrophysicist leaned over a glowing blue console, her fingers dancing over the holographic interface. She had almond skin, sharp, intelligent eyes, and wore her dark hair in a tightly braided crown. Her name was Elena Qureshi, and she had never been comfortable with comfort. Elena was the youngest recruit ever inducted into the Global Research Syndicate, an elite think tank responsible for monitoring interstellar signals, cosmic anomalies, and managing Earth's intergalactic defense mechanisms. People twice her age either admired her or quietly hated her, but Elena didn't care. She didn't join to be liked. She joined to find out what happened to her parents' two brilliant astronauts who vanished a decade ago on an unlogged space expedition. Their names were erased from public record, buried under layers of government secrecy. Since then, Elena had lived with a void, one shaped like a spacecraft, echoing with a mother's voice and a father's laugh. And she had promised herself she would uncover the truth. She didn't believe in fear, not anymore. It was nearing 0200 station time. Most of the crew was in sleep cycles, except for the AI systems and a few night duty analysts like Elena. The room was silent except for the soft hum of machines and the occasional ping of a scan completed. Suddenly, Elena's console blinked. Unregistered frequency detected. The AI chimed, its synthetic voice calm but alert. Elena's fingers froze, then resumed moving faster this time. Display full waveform. A shimmering stream of unfamiliar patterns scrolled across the hologram. She tilted her head, narrowing her eyes. The signal didn't match any Earth-based transmission, nor did it match the patterns of known interference from space dust, solar flares, or pulsars. It wasn't random, it was structured. Heart beating faster, she called up the spectral analyzer and split the signal across 3 dimensions. The patterns repeated not in sound, but in binary logic. It was as if someone was speaking in a language humans had once invented, but had long since stopped using for communication. Elena to command. She whispered through the comm. A few moments passed. "This is Captain Yuan." "What is it, Qureshi?" "I've intercepted a transmission. It's organized. I believe it's a signal from outside our solar system, and it's not natural." Within 10 minutes, Captain Yuan appeared in the lab, his boots heavy against the polymer floor. He was a tall, square-jawed man in his 50s, known for surviving the moon riots and shutting down the rogue colony on Titan. A soldier first, scientist second, and highly skeptical of anything that smelled like alien contact. Elena saluted. "Sir, here." He looked over her shoulder as the signal repeated in soft pulses on the screen. "Could be a malfunction. Vega 9's systems glitch all the time. I ran a system scan. no anomalies, and I decoded part of the signal. She swiped to another screen. It's not just a message, it's coordinates. Heroine frowned. Coordinates to what? A planet, one we've never charted before. I cross-referenced every known planetary body. This one doesn't exist in any registry, but the data includes gravitational data, oxygen levels, temperature bands. It's habitable. You're suggesting someone is inviting us. She nodded. Or warning us. Either way, they want us to come. Captain Heroine exhaled and leaned on the edge of the console, staring at the flashing coordinates. And you're not afraid this could be a trap? Elena turned to him, her eyes sharp with emotion. Sir, when did we become a species that stopped exploring, that cowered behind satellites and forgot how to be curious? Heroine's jaw tightened. You don't understand what's out there. I've seen what happens when we poke our heads into the void. I've lost crew, friends, we've encountered things that don't play by our rules, and we've hidden from them ever since, she said, her voice low. We've let fear make our decisions. There was a pause. You want to go, he said finally. I need to. That night, sleep didn't come. Elena stared at the stars from her observation deck, her mind racing. She ran the signal again and again, trying to translate more of its content. She isolated a word, or what she thought was a word repeated in bursts. Zarion. That had to be the name of the planet. Whoever sent the message wasn't just showing off. They were intelligent, capable, and maybe, just maybe, connected to the fate of her parents. In the shadows of her memory, Elena remembered something odd. Before her mother disappeared, she'd left a drawing. It was a simple sketch of a strange glowing symbol etched on an old napkin. Elena had scanned it once and stored it deep in her personal archives. She pulled it up now, her breath caught in her throat. The same symbol, almost identical, had appeared in the decoded signal header. It wasn't just a call, it was personal. The next morning, Elena stood before the station council, presenting her findings. Most members were cautious, some outright dismissive. We can't trust a random transmission, said Dr. Lee, the station's communications director. This could be some kind of automated signal, a ghost transmission. But what if it's not? Elena said. What if this is our first real invitation, not just data, but contact? You wanted proof that we're not alone. This is it. And you want to go alone? Asked another member, arching a brow. I'll take who volunteers, but even if no one comes, I'm going. Captain Heroine stood in the back of the room, arms folded. For the first time, he didn't speak against her. The room fell into heavy silence. Then the council leader finally spoke. You have 1 week to prepare a vessel. If by then we haven't debunked the signal as a hoax, we'll approve the journey. Provisional, no promises of support. Elena nodded. It was all she needed. In the days that followed, Elena worked like someone possessed. She oversaw the retrofitting of the Orion 13, a dormant deep space explorer that hadn't been used since the Martian terraforming missions. She chose a crew not based on rank, but on belief. A brilliant engineer from Nairobi named Aisha, a med tech named Luca, who had lost his brother in a failed space mission and sought redemption, and a silent navigator named Jin, who had once been imprisoned for hacking Earth's orbital defense grid and now wanted to use his skills for something real. They didn't speak of fear, they only spoke of possibility. As the launch date neared, Elena received a private message. No sender, no return address. It simply said, "The ones you seek are watching. Be careful, daughter of the stars." Her blood ran cold. Had someone or something been watching her this whole time? The day of departure arrived. The Orion 13 stood ready in the station's launch bay, gleaming under the light of Earth and Moon. The council came to observe, still divided. Captain Ewan approached Elena one last time. "I still think this is crazy," he said, "but if anyone should be out there, it's you." She smiled. "Thank you, sir." He handed her a small black cube. "Your parents left this. I wasn't allowed to give it to you until the Syndicate approved your own mission. It's encrypted, but maybe you can unlock it now." Elena stared at the cube, the weight of a decade pressed into her chest. "Thank you," she whispered. As Orion 13 launched into the dark canvas of space, heading toward the unknown planet Zarion, Earth slowly became a distant dot behind them. Elena sat at the front window, watching the stars shift. Her heart pounded, but she wasn't afraid, not anymore. The journey to Zarion, the Orion 13, cut through the velvet of space like a silver arrow, leaving behind a world chained by fear. Ahead lay the unknown, a set of coordinates pulsating on the nav screen, calling them forward into uncharted cosmos. Elena stood quietly at the bridge, arms folded behind her back, her eyes fixed on the stars. For the first time in her life, she felt like she wasn't chasing shadows. She was finally following light. The ship's interior buzzed with quiet life. Holographic control panels shimmered. Soft tones echoed from the navigation AI. Each crew member had found their post, and the journey to Zarion had officially begun. But no amount of training or simulation could prepare them for what lay ahead. The crew dynamics Aisha, the engineer, was the first to break the silence. Navigation checks complete, life support stable, gravity levels optimal. Elena nodded. "Good. Let's keep a pulse on radiation levels once we enter the Kuiper outbelt. It's going to be rough." "Already writing a poem about it," Aisha joked, pushing her red glasses up her nose. Title: Death by Dust, but make it sparkly. Luca, the med tech, let out a chuckle from his workstation near the infirmary module. "You and your poetry. You should have been a writer, not an engineer." Aisha grinned. Says the medic, who listens to opera while performing surgery. "I only do that when I'm saving lives," Luca replied, smirking. In the pilot seat, Jin said nothing. His fingers danced across the flight interface, recalibrating their path every few minutes. His silence was unnerving, but Elena had learned to trust him. He was the best navigator alive, even if he barely spoke 10 words a day. She watched them all, this mismatched group of dreamers and misfits, and realized something. They were not afraid either. Maybe that's why they had volunteered. Like her, they had ghosts, but they'd stopped letting those ghosts make their decisions, too. Through the Kuiper storm on the 6th day, the stars ahead grew dimmer. Dust thickened around the ship. Alerts began to ping across the dashboard. "Captain, we're entering the outbelt now," Jin said, his voice clipped. The Kuiper outbelt, a region of icy debris and rogue asteroids beyond Neptune. Space here was unpredictable. No matter how advanced the shielding, one rogue rock could end a mission. The AI voice crackled, radiation levels rising, external temperature dropping, initiating thermal balancing. "Reduce external velocity to 12,000 kph, Elena ordered. "Activate magnetic field stabilizers." The ship groaned as it adjusted course. Outside, billions of crystalline particles shimmered like frozen stars. It was beautiful and deadly. An hour passed, then another. Suddenly a jolt. "We've been hit," Aisha called out. "Right stabilizer has minor damage. Shields are holding," Luca reported. "No breaches. Can we fix it?" Elena asked. Aisha glanced at the diagnostics. "Not without going outside." Elena looked at her. "Then let's suit up." Stepping outside the ship was like walking into the heart of a silent blizzard. Elena and Aisha floated tethered together, magnetic boots gripping the hull as they moved carefully toward the damaged panel. Tiny fragments of ice drifted past like ghostly snowflakes. Remind me why I signed up for this, Aisha muttered over the comms. Because you're not afraid, Elena answered. Aisha smiled. Damn right I'm not. They reached the stabilizer and began repairs. Sparks flew in weightless arcs as the welding torch seared metal back into place. Then something strange happened. A flicker, a movement out of the corner of Elena's eye. She turned. For a split second, a shadow moved across the space field. Humanoid in shape, gliding past faster than any known creature could move. Did you see that? Elena whispered. See what? Aisha asked, but it was gone. When they returned inside, Elena didn't mention it again. 3. The message within the message that night. Elena sat alone in her quarters, staring at the black cube Captain Heroine had given her. She hadn't dared open it during launch, but now she placed it on the table. Decrypt, she whispered. The cube vibrated. A soft blue light emerged from its seams. Then a hologram flickered into life. Her mother's face, alive, recorded, but painfully real. Elena, the voice said, soft and urgent. If you're seeing this, it means you've followed the signal. It means you've found Zarion. Elena's hands trembled. They told us not to go, but we went anyway. Me, your father, and a crew of dreamers. We discovered something. Not just a planet, but a living intelligence. The planet is conscious, and it's waiting, watching. It's ancient, and it remembers everything. The image flickered again. Zarion has secrets, and it's not alone. There are others. Be careful, Elena. There are things in this galaxy that feed on fear. The recording ended. Elena sat frozen. A conscious planet. Beings that feed on fear. She had more questions now than answers, but one thing was clear. Her parents hadn't vanished. They had found something too powerful to explain, and someone had tried to cover it up. Zarion wasn't just a mission. It was the key to the truth. 4. Dreams and distortions. By day 10, the crew started experiencing something strange. Captain, Lucas said, pale and sweating, I've been having these dreams, but they don't feel like dreams. It's like someone is inside my mind. Elena tensed. Explain. I saw a city floating above lava. Giant creatures with glass eyes, and a voice whispering my name over and over. Aisha chimed in. I saw something too, a tower covered in vines, but it was singing to me. Even Jin nodded silently. He didn't speak, but his eyes told Elena everything. She herself hadn't been spared. Each night, she dreamed of her parents standing on a mountaintop, pointing at a black sun. And every time she tried to speak, her voice failed. It was as if Zarion was already reaching them through dreams, or was it something else? The ship's AI scanned their vitals, no anomalies, no neural interference, and yet the dreams continued. One night, Elena left her cabin to clear her head. As she floated through the corridor, she heard a sound, a whisper, Elena. She spun around, no one there. 5. The planet revealed on day 14. The transmission began again, the same signal but stronger. Clearer, almost musical. Jin called from the bridge, we're here. Elena ran to the front. Outside the viewport, a planet appeared glowing softly with hues of violet and silver, clouds spiraling around its equator like living threads. Zarion, the uncharted, the impossible, orbiting it were massive crystal structures, like spaceborne sculptures, pulsing with energy. No satellites, no ships, just presence. Aisha whispered, that's not just a planet, that's art. Luca added, or a warning. Elena took a breath. Initiate descent. Let's find the source of the signal. As the Orion 13 descended, they broke through the clouds and gasped. Below was the landscape unlike anything Earth had ever seen. Forests that glowed in the dark, rivers flowing upwards, mountain ranges shaped like spirals, and in the distance a city built entirely of light. Elena's heart raced. This was the place. This was Zarion, and somewhere down there was the truth her parents had died for. The awakening of Zarion, the landing thrusters of Orion 13, hummed low as the ship touched down on the silken terrain of Zarion. The moment the landing gear made contact, a ripple spread across the ground, not physical, but something deeper. As though the planet had felt their arrival, the air shimmered like warm water, refracting light in hues of blue, silver, and soft violet. The atmosphere was breathable, temperature mild, gravity stable. Yet nothing about this world felt ordinary. Elena unstrapped herself from the command seat and stood slowly. Every instinct told her this was the moment everything changed. "Team, gear up. We're stepping into history," she said, her voice steady. Jin, Aisha, and Luca nodded, already suited up in exploration gear. As the main hatch hissed open, Elena felt a wave of emotion rush over her: excitement, grief, awe, and something she couldn't name. Ahead of them, the landscape stretched out in surreal majesty. Giant crystalline trees sparkled under twin suns. The ground pulsed faintly beneath their boots, as though the soil itself had a heartbeat. But there was no wind, no birdsong, only silence, a living silence. The city of lights. They moved carefully through the terrain, following the direction of the signal that had brought them across galaxies. According to the readings, the source was located in the heart of the glowing city they had seen from orbit, a city that now shimmered on the horizon like a dream waiting to be touched. As they walked, Elena noticed something strange. The environment shifted subtly with each step. Paths widened or narrowed, colors of the plants changed, responding to their presence. "It's adapting to us," Luca whispered, scanning a glowing fern that curled slightly at his touch. "Or watching," Aisha added uneasily. Elena didn't respond. She felt it too. Not danger exactly, but observation. Like the planet was studying them not as invaders, but as something familiar. After an hour, the city welcomed them without walls or gates. It was made not of metal or stone, but light. Towers of solid radiance, streets paved in glass. Like energy, bridges that sang when crossed. No beings greeted them, no voice spoke. Yet the city felt alive. Aisha's voice broke the awe. "This defies every known law of physics. These structures aren't built, they're grown." Elena looked around. "Then we're not just on a planet. We're inside something else, something intelligent, too." The archives of memory in the city's center stood a tower that pulsed with a heartbeat, like rhythm. As they approached, the signal in their wrist modules grew louder, not just in sound, but in feeling. The frequency stirred memories, emotions, even dreams. "This is it," Jin said, speaking more than he had in days. They entered the tower. Inside, the walls flowed with holographic images, memories, perhaps of places and faces not of Earth. Alien worlds, civilizations, stars exploding in time, lapsed waves, and then humans. A recording played. Elena gasped. It was her mother and father standing at the same place, recorded by Zarion's systems. Her mother's voice echoed through the chamber. "If you're hearing this, it means you've made it here. You followed the signal we left. Zarion is more than a planet, it's a sentient archive. It remembers everything it sees, it learns." Her father continued. "We tried to tell Earth, but they were afraid of what it meant, that we are not the center, that life out there doesn't just exist, it watches." The message ended, leaving the crew in stunned silence. Elena's knees gave way slightly. She leaned on a pillar of light for support. "They were here," she whispered. "They tried to bring the truth home, and someone silenced them." The fear feeders, the city responded to her pain. The light dimmed, the silence thickened, and then the temperature dropped. Suddenly, the walls of the tower flickered, showing new images, shadows, creatures made of dark mist with burning eyes. Aisha gasped. "What are those?" Jin's hands flew across his scanner. They're not recordings, they're live feeds. These things are watching us now. Luca paled. The dreams, the whispers. It wasn't Zarion, it was them. Elena's mind spun. Her parents had warned of beings that feed on fear. Could these be them? As if in answer, the floor trembled. A low sound like a growl made of static rippled through the tower. "Get out!" Elena shouted. Now they ran, the city shifting around them. Paths twisted, bridges vanished, the air darkened, and in the shadows they saw the forms tall, formless, eyes like stars on fire. One of them whispered directly into Elena's mind. "You brought your fear with you. It is delicious." Elena screamed, not aloud, but inside her soul, and clutched her head. Suddenly, a blinding light erupted from the tower. The creatures vanished, and in the glow stood a figure, human in shape, translucent and golden. It spoke. "Do not fear them. They cannot survive without your permission." The voice wasn't mechanical. It was Zarion. For the truth of Zarion, the figure beckoned them to follow, and they obeyed, stunned and trembling. They entered a garden of floating crystals. "There," Zarion explained, "I am not a god, I am not a machine, I am memory pure and old, created billions of years ago by those who no longer exist, to protect life from the feeders of fear. Fear is not evil, it is necessary, but it must not rule. The feeders, they came from the dark between galaxies. They grew powerful because humans forgot how to be brave." Elena stepped forward. "Why us? Why now?" "Because you remembered. You chose to search, to feel, to suffer. That is how courage is born. That is how fear dies." Zarion paused. "Your parents are gone, but their minds live within me. Would you like to speak with them?" Tears rolled down Elena's face. "Yes, please." 5. The last conversation. A chamber opened in the garden, and from the light emerged two holographic figures, her mother and father, not as recordings, but interactive consciousnesses preserved by Zarion. "Elena," her mother said, reaching out. Though there was no touch, Elena felt the warmth. Her father smiled. "We knew you'd come. You were never one to run from the truth." "I missed you so much," Elena whispered. "Why didn't you come back?" Her mother's eyes turned sad. "Because Earth wasn't ready. When we tried to send messages, they were blocked. Officials feared a panic, so they erased us." Her father added, "But Zarion kept us, preserved who we were, and now, through you, the truth can be told." The chamber began to dim. "We don't have much time," her mother said, "but know this: fear is not your enemy. It's the first test. Pass through it and everything opens." Elena cried as the lights faded. "I love you," she said. "We love you too," came the final echo, and then they were gone. 6. The crew returned to Orion 13 in silence, but something had changed in all of them. Luca looked up at the twin suns. "We saw the truth, and we survived." Aisha nodded. "No more nightmares, no more whispers, just clarity." Jin simply said, "Let's go home." As they prepared for launch, Zarion's voice returned one final time. "Go back, tell them, but do not convince. Simply show, and those who are ready will stop being afraid."